No need to adjust your calendars. You are getting an amped up on Christmas. That is right. No plans until later this evening, or at least we were able to push plans back to later this afternoon, this evening, which means you guys get a special amped up show. I told you we were not taking the holidays off. If there's stories to talk about, discussions to be had, and we have the time to do it, you guys are getting an amped up. So it is a Christmas edition, and we're not going to phone it in, guys. This is going to be a legit amped up. A lot of good topics, a lot of good discussion, a lot of good stories to talk about. We're going to talk a former WWE talent saying there is a path, many paths, for a return to the company. And while BC respects this dude, I do have to ask, is that truly best for business? We'll talk about it. Hunter is literally the only one you can blame these days if you see a poor show or shows, because they totally removed the other dude in the credits. We'll talk about that situation and why now it all falls on Hunter Hearst Helmsley. We're also going to talk a big AEW star we believe is going to make his return in just 3 nights. We're also going to talk the man of 3 H's, Das Booting, the tribute to the troops. Vince McMahon's baby, one of the coolest shows of the year, I feel. As the years went on, they didn't feel as special, but it was still one of the coolest things that this company could do. And you're not going to believe the reason why Hunter was just not too keen on rushing to do a taping of Tribute to the Troops. You guys are not going to believe it. If you follow this channel for any length of time, you're probably not going to be shocked. But I'm going to give you one of the big reasons why Hunter said no thank you to the Tribute to the Troops. It's all coming up. Also, AEW Rampage, finally, the one thing we've been asking for the longest of time. It looks like Tony Khan has confirmed. However, what's coming along afterwards, that's what we need to talk about. They're making the right call with Rampage. So why is everybody about to receive a shockwave? We'll talk all about it. It's what I mean. There's so much good stories and discussion to be had. We're not phoning it in. I don't care how long this takes. I don't care if my Christmas plans get backed up into the wee hours. We're going to drink this Starbucks extra double shot hazelnut latte. And we're going to get amplified, man. All apologies for not being in festive Christmas colors. We just got back from the gym. Leg day. That's right. Don't skip leg day. I know a lot of you guys watching right now. You skip leg day. You just want to look good on the beach, right? Get those honeys. I know. But no honey is going to like a disproportionate Danielson. Don't be a disproportionate Danielson. Work those legs. So this was a good 3-hour leg day workout. Best part of that on Christmas morning is there's usually nobody, and I do mean nobody, in the gym. So, with that said, also, real quick, man, before I end the cold open teaser, I already got some cool gifts, man, even though it's early of this recording. Check this out. I got some cool stuff. Somebody sent me, they look like this. I'm kind of a big deal, huh? Good friend sent me that. I'm kind of a big deal. At first I was like, what are you trying to say, man? There ain't no ego over here. But he just means Muscles Mayhem. That's why kind of a big deal. Get it? I get it now. All right. Or maybe he just saved his ass when I questioned him. But also, a good friend of mine. She knows I love my coffee. Check these out. Coffee pens, man. They're pens. And they say you get like a straight black coffee pen, a cafe milk pen, caramel macchiato pen, and espresso pen. They're pens, man. I do a lot of notes, especially for this channel, and I love coffee. Put the two together. Check this out, guys. Check this out, man. Jordan Love. This is my first Jordan Love jersey, man. Had all the Favres. I had all the Aaron Rodgers. You can't sport them nowadays, man. That's a thing of the past. And I did not want to jump on a Love jersey yet. I needed to make sure he was the guy of the future. And he is. So this was a really cool gift. Check that out, man. We got the Jordan Love jersey. So we're going to be rocking that a lot. All right, that's just some of the stuff I already got. Again, the big festivities kick off in a few hours. That's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, we're getting amped up, man. All of the great discussion I just went over. Let me get a big swig of coffee. Come right on back. It's a Christmas edition of Amped Up with your boy BC. Let's do this. 44 Dive. We rolling. And full disclosure, full transparency, full forewarning, you guys might hear a little bit of Christmas story in the background. I do have it on one of the screens here in the office studio. So you might be hearing a little, I can't get out. When the little kid he falls down in the snow and his mom bundled it up in the big snowsuit so he can't get up. And we always have a lot of fun. If you're new to the channel, I reference that a lot when you get a fruit roll-up. You know, you'll usually see like a little wrestler roll up somebody who's bigger than them, and they just roll them up. And you just hold them down. There's no finisher. It's just a roll. You roll them up. So they're not knocked out. They haven't been sent for a loop. You haven't dinged them up. They just got rolled up, and this wrestler has to lay there for 3 seconds like they can't get their shoulder off the mat. It's usually it's ill-advised. It usually does not come across good or believable or realistic. So I always have a lot of fun with it. It just reminds me like the Christmas story where the little kid can't get up from the snow. This professional wrestler, usually with big muscles, these days not so big, but most of them go to the gym a few times a week, and they can't get their shoulder off the mat. It's the Christmas story, so it's kind of fitting, man. We have no roll-ups to talk about right now. I don't know what happened on NXT last night. I didn't bother giving that a watch. There was some get-togethers and parties that had to be attended to. There was no way NXT could fit the bill last night, so I don't know what happened. I did see a wrestler in a Santa Claus outfit, probably like Santa Ridge Holland or something. So you had on SmackDown, you had Santa Braun. On Raw, you had Santa J.D. McDougalburger. And on NXT, you had, maybe it was Santa Holland. So I don't know, but I definitely saw Santa. He took out Tony D'Angelo outside the ring. So every single WWE show had a wrestler cosplay as Santa Claus. Yep, we're cooking. But that's the background. If you may hear that, I try to have it low enough, but I do have that. That always bumps. Whenever I'm able to around Christmas time. Again, Merry Christmas to all you guys, man. Before I do jump into these stories, and I do want to start off with a big return, possibly going over to AEW's World's End in 3 nights. But I first want to send a shout out, a special Merry Christmas, a special thank you, and a special shout out to Colin and Eddie Brash, basically sponsoring today's upload, chucking some coffees at the channel. The last upload we did, which was the spoilers/review of Monday Night Raw, Must Miss TV, we called it. In the comments of that upload, some super chat, super thanks, which I always appreciate because it's never needed, but always appreciated. It's just an extra level of support. Colin, I appreciate you big time, man. And yes, Hunter did say the 3rd hour was too hard to produce for Monday Night Raw. What he failed to mention was so was hours 1 and 2. Hunter's lost on all 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. So Colin, yes, he just forgot to say the second part. Also 1 and 2, though all of Raw is hard to produce, is what he should have said. And Eddie Brash, Merry Christmas, right back to you. And I really am glad that I saved you 2 hours this past Monday. Maybe you got some extra Christmas gift buying time, maybe some extra time with the friends and fam. Maybe you just picked up a bad habit, play in traffic, put your dome piece through a brick wall. A lot of things were probably better than watching Monday Night Raw. So Colin and Eddie Brash, before I get into these topics, I did have to send a special shout out. Appreciate the coffees, guys. And let me give you a proper salute if you don't mind. Colin, Eddie Brash, 2 of my faves, man, 2 long time subscribers on this channel. So it's always good when I see my veteran subscribers still showing that extra level of support, man. There's nothing like that. Also, nothing like one of the best wrestlers in the world getting another crack at it, right? Whether you love AEW or not, whether you love this professional wrestler or not, that's your prerogative, I hear you. But Kenny Omega or at least was. We'll see what he still has in the tank. He missed most of 2024 on the shelf, but Kenny Omega is about to return. A big event, early January, New Japan Pro. Was that for Strong, I believe? I don't know. He's got a big date, early January for Japan, but he is expected to return first from All Elite Wrestling this Saturday, 3 nights at World's End. We don't know what exactly he'll be doing. He could even be in a pre-tape, but we do expect him to be a part of the show. It's going to be good, man. I always liked Kenny Omega. I really have. I just think there's so much talent in this dude. I do think he can do promos much better than he's even been given the chance to do in AEW. I truly feel like you've gotten the best of Kenny Omega, the best of the Young Bucks, when they were wrestling in Japan and really making a name for themselves. Something happened. They became EVPs. They have their own organization. And it's like they don't book themselves correctly, or they're letting Tony book them improperly. Something about them. I understand they won championships. They won big matchups. They've been in big PLEs, pay-per-views. Sorry. I can't stand PLEs. I'm letting them get their terminology in, man. Pretty soon we're going to be calling it the WWE Universe, the AEW Galaxy. But yeah, we understand like they've had big moments, or should have been, but it doesn't hit the same. It doesn't feel the same. If you guys remember when they were doing that whole run before AEW was even created, you knew like you were seeing something special. When the Bucks come out or when Omega comes out, it just doesn't hit the same. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. I'm really hoping when Kenny comes back, I can get that feeling back. But for me, honestly, guys, as I always am with you guys, man, I'm looking forward to seeing Omega. I really like this dude. I think he's got so much potential, not just what he can do in the ring, but carrying storyline, spitting the microphone. Does he get the chance to do it? Will he be in situations that play to his strengths and any weaknesses that there are able to be hidden? Remains to be seen. Kenny Omega. This Saturday, we expect him to return in some capacity to World's End. Now, you talk about returns. This is interesting because it leads to an honest question, right? A former WWE star says there is a path, many paths, for a return. As much as you may respect and love this dude, is that best for business truly? I'm going to ask this question right now. Mustafa Ali. Ali recently asked about a WWE return. He says business is good for them. I do see a pathway back there. There's many pathways that could get me back there. Okay, so my honest question is, what is Mustafa Ali going to do that is going to skyrocket WWE or catapult our interest more so into the product? And I don't want to hear just like, oh, I like Ali BC, or I've always liked Ali BC, or I see potential BC. I get it. There was many times I liked Ali, saw immense potential, not just his wrestling. There was times where I'm like, oh, if you put him in that story, maybe that could connect. Or a couple of promos where I was like, ooh, Ali's more than what I think people are sleeping on Ali. I get it. But for all this time that passed, and the failure that was, many, many different variations of Ali, is bringing him back in 2025. Is that best for business? Unless it's done damn near flawlessly. Guys, there's no room. Pro wrestling in totality, whether it's World Wrestling Entertainment, AEW, or the local bingo hall, a GCW, anywhere in between, a TNA Impact, everybody has to think about downsizing, right? Sometimes less is more. It's about quality over the quantity. When wrestling is at its best, man, if you remember what got a lot of us into it, 80s, 90s, right? There was smaller rosters. There wasn't a roster of 150 individuals, right? You didn't need a nil program. You didn't need to tag every single wrestling school. You didn't need an NXT promotion in and of itself, right? It's basically, what do they call it, a school. But you didn't need a developmental school that was just an extension of WWE's branding. You didn't need that, man. You needed a roster of about 50 to 60 people, and you just rocked them out. You let the audience digest the characters, and you could do more with them because you didn't have to worry about giving 150 people camera time. We're putting 150 people on TV. These days, Tony Khan already in 5 years had 225 individuals on his roster. WWE at any given time, if you want to send in NXT, at any given time, they could have 195 wrestlers on their roster. It's ridiculous. Nobody can digest all of this anymore. Many times, theme music will hit. I don't even know who the wrestler is coming out. Back in the day, theme music was so important. It was badass. I mean, you could literally take that into the gym and have a really good workout. That's right, wrestling themes. It ain't corny, right? You're thinking, you're in the gym listening to a wrestling. No, back in the day, you could do that. It was that good. These days, theme music will hit. I don't even know who it is anymore. I like have to wait. I'm like, who is that? Because the crowd's not jumping up. Most of the crowd probably doesn't know, A. And B, if they do know, the song isn't good enough to jump up and go, yeah. You know what I mean? There's no glass that's shattering. There's no Motorhead bumping. I don't know the theme music anymore to any of these individuals. There's just too many, too. It's just too many people. So eventually you're just like, all right, we can't spend a lot of time creating theme music. There is no Jim Johnston anymore. Let's just create generic music because we have to constantly create it 25 different individuals every day. Because we always have a roster of 200. My point in all this, what I'm getting at, is adding Ali back when the dude already didn't move the needle. Unfortunately, whether you want to blame Vincent Kennedy or you want to blame a Hunter Hearst or just Ali just didn't have that it factor, it didn't connect. Many variations. So with all the wrestlers in the world and all these kids that you have in the Performance Center or all the ID program that you're tagging all the schools with all of this talent, Ali coming back is now going to take the camera time. One of your 8 segments every Monday or Friday will be of Ali. All right. But just heed my warning on this. It has to be done to perfection or else Hunter is going to fail just like Vincent Kennedy did. And then maybe the question is it just on Ali? Do we like him? And is he a good hand? But he's just not a larger-than-life superstar. He's not a dude that's going to captivate you. He's just not. There's better. There's better. And with limited time, we can do better. Maybe we have to ask that question. If he comes back and it fails again, we have to ask that question. I like the dude. I'm okay with a return. But you better be done to perfection. You better have an actual plan. I mean, look at how the Wyatts came back. Look at what they did with the Wyatts already. Man, Dexter came out Monday. Man, I saw that. I heard. It was sad. The reception. Or non-existent lack thereof. We'll see, man. But Ali, you're keeping his cards open, man. Yes, I see many paths back to WWE because business is good, they say. Well, what are you saying, man? You left and business started to boom financially. Business started to boom. So why would they need an Ali back, right? That's another question. Oh, this is interesting. This is, where do you want to go? You know what? Let's go to one of the bigger stories, man. Let's actually do the bigger story here. Vince McMahon's tribute to the troops. It's Das Boots to the troops. From Hunter Hearst Helmsley, man. Tribute to the troops was something that Vince McMahon loved to do every year. He just thought it was very important. Loved to do it. Didn't make him a lot of money. And over the years, the concept kind of evolved. Some may say kind of devolved, right? It kind of went it went backwards in terms of suspense. But it was still important to Vince, and that's one of those things where it actually wasn't about the money. It's the right thing to do. It's such a good thing. It's a cool thing. Hunter Hearst Helmsley was one of the biggest, from what we're hearing, and this is what the report is. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is one of the biggest advocates to not have it as a must do this year. To the point where it got so late, and the word that we're getting was Hunter was so busy. They just said, you know what? No, just focus on Saturday night's main event. Focus on the big Netflix. It all just became about the bottom dollar. Tribute to the Troops just does not give them a lot of money. Business is booming. We got to make sure it stays that way. Hunter is very much in this Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel endeavor web. It's all just straight biz, bottom dollar. So everybody that thought Hunter was going to be so much better than Vince in that area, not so fast. At least there was many things that Vince said, you know what, we're going to forget about the bottom dollar for a second because this is what we're doing. And it's really cool, the tribute to the troops. With Hunter, it wasn't a big necessity. It wasn't something that he really needed to do or much less wanted to do on many fronts. And that was never more evident when the clock hit 12 and the decision came down that there was no tribute to the troops. At least not. I mean, they could hear some of this backlash. This is a report that came out within the last 24 hours. Maybe they hear some backlash and maybe they rush to get it done maybe in January. But if you guys think this was a plan up front, it was not. There is reputable reports that have been double sourced out, double verified, I'll say, that absolutely correspond with one another. That this was never a priority and that it got officially scrapped. So if you hear of one coming up in the pipeline the next month or two, that's because of the backlash. But Hunter just DOS booted the troops. The tribute to the troops in favor of the bottom dollar. Now, I know, right, BC? It's business, man. You don't understand. I get it, man. I understand. I'm the one telling you it's business. What I'm saying is this is one of those scenarios where Vince actually put money aside because he could have promoted a much bigger show. Every year, you take that time in that slot and you could make money, man. You could put together like your own little Saturday night's main event. Can't probably call it that if it's not on NBC, but you put together your own big show, like a Tuesday night in Texas, if anybody remembers early 90s. But no, this meant a lot to him. And even over the years, as it made less and less money for that company, he still did it. And this time, Hunter was just like, no time for it. That's what we heard, right? Saturday night's main event, Netflix over here. What we're hearing is Hunter is just too busy, quote. And you want to say, BC's the head creator. No, what's he too busy doing? We already talked about it, right? We talked about it over many coffees. He's over there filming all of these ads, these promotionals and these marketings, right, for Netflix. Why does he have to be the face of that? The whole thing for Netflix is real, rebellious, raw. Have CM Punk do that. He's rebellious, right? Okay, Punk was perfect for that. He rolls up, goes into the Stanford, like he's looking for like H's office or something, but he stumbles upon the sign and it illuminates. And he says, yeah, real, rebellious, raw. Cool. Why does Hunter have to? Because a shoot day, guys, something that little still takes bare minimum 6 to 8 hours to shoot and probably 10 to 12. Trust me, I've been on these sets. It's wild. It takes a long time to film something that little. You have to get all the lighting, all the camera shots. You have to check the gates. You have to do different positions and repositions. It's a long film day. And he's taking time out of his day from being creative to be the face of the company. Why does Hunter have to be the face? Why every time there's a PLE, especially out of the country, he's got to be the face to sell the other countries? Let your superstars do that. Let Cody do more of that. LA Knight could use those spots. Actually positioning LA Knight to look and feel like a top star. What a concept. But no, Hunter wants to be the face of the company. That's what's taking all his time. Every single time something is announced, we have to hear, "Are you ready?" Yes, I'm ready for you to sit the fuck down, put on your little headset, we'll make you a nice fresh cup of coffee, and you just try to get creative at Gorilla. How about you do that? Give us creative raws. Don't worry about filming everything that your superstars should be filming. They are supposed to be the superstars. They're supposed to be the faces of the company, not the chief content creative officer. Why is the creative officer of WWE the face of the company? You talk about an ego. Yeah, you got to double check that at the door because that's not working. You're too busy to put together a tribute to the troop show. Stop it. Anyway, moving on, because this kind of coincides with it, right? Producer Lee Fitting. You guys hear about this? Oh, boy, is he. So lately, you talk egos, man. They want the credits right on it. So after these shows recently, I don't know if you saw what Hunter does now, But Hunter and his little, one of his good buddies, Lee Fitting, who's now the producer, basically one of the big guys that took over for Kevin Dunn. So he's the big guy in production and a big right-hand man for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So what they do now, right? At the end of the show, they actually put credits. They put their names, produced by or whatever. And it says like, Paul Levesque, Lee Fitting, sometimes Shawn Michaels for NXT. And it totally makes it stupid, right? So if you have a big cliffhanger and you want to leave jaws dropped, you're brought back to reality that it's just a television show because you just have credits now because these egos are so massive. They want you to know that it's a TV show. Like there was people that actually went over this and approved it. So that's why I say when it's bad, you're damn right better blame Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque McMahon, and Lee Fitting. But now Lee Fitting, right, there's a point in all this. Lee Fitting's name has been taken off, or at least that's what I was told Monday when the show went off there. Many people said, BC, quick report for you. Lee Fitting's name is off. I don't know if it's going to stay off. But for now, you're just seeing Paul Levesque. So now you can really just blame Paul Levesque McMahon if it's bad. If it's great, we'll praise him. I haven't seen great on Raw in many, many years, starting back with McMahon 10 years ago and beyond. Or 10 years ago and going forward, I have not seen a really great Raw in that amount of time. And Hunter did not change that, unfortunately. But now it's just his name. And if you guys are wondering, there was accusations and a lot of things coming out for Lee Fitting, adamantly denying it, obviously. But WWE, when these type of situations happens, they just swipe it underneath the rug. They try to just hide it, right? Lee Fitting is not removed from the company. I think that's an important thing to remember here, guys, or take away from this conversation. Lee Fitting is very, very much still with WWE and still their producer. And it's going to take a lot for Hunter to part ways with that dude. They're connected very, very big. So what they're hoping is that if they just remove the name, kind of hide them for a while, let everything blow over, and you'll forget about it. Especially with everything that's coming down with Vince McMahon. The last thing they needed was Lee Fitting, his name being dragged through the mud now. So basically, Endeavor is talking with Hunter, and they're like, all right, well, we're not getting rid of him. So let's just act like we did. Remove his name, right? You wouldn't have to do that if you didn't have your egos were already in check. You didn't automatically think you were such a big deal. But their names are up there every show now, and then everything drops on Lee Fitting, so now they had to take Lee Fitting's name off. So a couple of big stories there. A, it's being taken off. At least it was on Monday from what we're being told. B, that is why these accusations that came out about Lee Fitting. And then 3, Lee Fitting is still with WWE. Don't be fooled. Just because it's looking like they removed him, they did not. And we don't believe they're going to. So there you go. Big story there. In a behind the scenes aspect. And then I want to go to one last story here. And this is big. Rampage. Finally finished. But not so fast. No reason to celebrate. And we're not celebrating because we thought the show was trash. It may have been in the later years, but it needed to go for other reasons that were going to benefit the company, not be a detriment. But now the company is about to do something maybe even worse than Rampage. So guys, catch this. Now apparently, Tony Khan, before the recent set of tapings that they did, I think this was Sunday, they taped tonight's Dynamite, I believe, from Hammerstein Ballroom, New York City. And before the taping, I guess Tony Khan said, this is going to be the last taping for Rampage, for a while anyway. This is it. And a lot of people are thinking, they're connecting the dots and they're going, wait a second, I think that was the word we were waiting for. Rampage is finished. And some other reporting came out after that, yes, it looks like Rampage is being taken off the airwaves for now. Don't know. Tony Khan could always, of course, bring that back, but it looks like we're finally getting Rampage off the airwaves. This is what I've been telling you guys has to happen. Within 5 years, Tony Khan thought that he was WWE. The problem is WWE took over 50 years to get to where they were. Right? You have to build that equity over time. You can't possibly just start off running. Mox put it best recently in an interview. Mox said, AEW is struggling because we forgot you have to crawl, then walk, then run. Tony Khan just tried to run right out of the womb, right? Popped out of the womb, just ran out of the hospital. Everyone's chasing after this little tyke. That was Tony Khan just running. Dude, stop, relax, crawl. Get your ducks in a row, get your footing in place, build your equity. Years later, you can maybe add a second show once you have Dynamite solidified, right? Once you have Dynamite, must-see TV pulling 1.4, 1.5, bare minimum. Try to get, $1.5 million, get your footing, and then maybe start talking about a second show. Instead, Tony Khan, he just wanted Rampage. He's like, let's do a second. Let's have what Raw has to SmackDown. Let's have Rampage. I'm like, dude, within just a couple years? And then all of a sudden, when Rampage was struggling like Dynamite, they thought a third show would help, and they brought in Collision. And I'm like, whoa, what is going on? How is their answer more? Less. Just concentrate on Dynamite. So they brought in Collision. Collision started struggling with the numbers. And finally, here we are today, just now. Hey, better late than never sometimes. And just now we are getting Rampage off the airwaves. It looks like anyway. That's the latest reports. Now, before you have a party and go, good, AEW's Dynamite and even Collision will be better because there's one less show to worry about. So more focus put in to those two shows, right? I always tell you guys, it's much better to do one or two things really well than many things half-ass and mid. So maybe now we can do these one or two things very, very well. The problem is we're already talking about AEW. Tony Khan is talking about bringing in this new show called Shockwave. They're shopping around Shockwave. So you finally did the right thing. Ex-nay this so you could concentrate on your product better. And your answer is, hold on, we got to replace it now. We got to send a Shockwave. Shockwave. Can you just worry about getting $750,000 on your prime flagship Dynamite? Can you just try to solidify 300,000 to 400,000 weekly on your Collision? Focus on that. Sending a shockwave through the wrestling community would be AEW focusing on their product and bringing in the viewership that I know they're capable of. And doing it consistently, that would send a shockwave. A third show that's going to pull in $150,000 on average? No, thank you. Tony Khan, deep breath, relax, rethink this. And if it's a Warner Brothers thing, they're pressuring you that they want more content, you need to tell them there's going to be zero content if you keep running us into a wall. That's what I got for you. It's amped up on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2024. A lot of great discussion, amped up, great Starbucks coffee. Great vibes, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and were captivated by this upload. Hopefully you had a lot of great discussion. Hopefully it was thought-provoking. Hopefully it was entertaining as well. Until next time, and there will be that next time. 44 Dive. That's a wrap. Check you. Peace and salut. Merry Christmas. Look at that, man. Starbucks is festive. There you go. BC's got his gym gear on, and Starbucks is like, we got you, BC. We'll show everybody it's Christmas. Salute! BC's out.